Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Paladins Pro Circuit. Finch is, at this point, just lost into the abyss. We have no idea how to get him back. One day, we'll figure out that travel between the two. But either way, right now, I'm bringing in Kresnik with me instead. And Kresnik, I mean, you just had a nice five-game banger. Put the words together there yourselves. It came through. A long one there in Europe. Brazil is the one we're going to next. Ignite and Carnage Gaming going up against each other. Carnage are the ones that I have been personally keeping my eye on over here, just because they're the ones that seem to be closest to taking down someone like Parallax Gaming. But you can see Ignite's been doing a pretty good job keeping up. In fact, a few weeks ago, these teams were all tied with each other, so it's not too ludicrous to think that this could also go all five.
Oh, no, for sure, with how close these teams have kind of been back and forth here. But looking at this Ignite, they're just starting us off on Fish Market. We're just going all in. I go from Fish Market to Fish Market here as Ignite. I guess Deja Vu was reading chat earlier, and he's like, all right, well, I'll play a pretty good Andro map maybe. I can prove that I think I'm the best Andro in the game here against Carnage on a map that I think will make them uncomfortable.
Man, Fish Market, it's a fun one, right? I think to jump out on. So I'm very happy to be able to see this. Although getting it twice in one day, it feels like eating too much candy, right? Like you're almost getting too much from what you got to. Something sweet is going to be gracing us. I'm a big fan of this map, not for any reason other than the fact that it's rare, and that's almost entirely all it comes down to. I think competitively, it's been interesting to watch some of the teams. I think Envy maybe made me the biggest fan of this map, just because watching them on it was always a treat, and maybe that's where that sticks from. But I know competing on it is different because it just doesn't play like any other map, Kresnik. I mean, you can't really just send your Anar to stand on point and win because of that.
Which is funny that you say that, because that first ban is Inara, a character that I don't think really thrives on this map like you just said, but they wanted to use her, I guess, to shove down a lane on the side, but they're going to also ban Genos, so two very different styles now are kind of being chopped down a little bit by Ignite into Carnage here, the sustain, or the at least aggressive tankiness gun, triple DPS with a Genos to back it up, gun and Corvus to supplement that as well. So we're going to have to see kind of a more less pocket-oriented support if we see a Grover, if we see a Damba, but Ignite, they have the first pick here, and Ying would be a shocking first pick, I think, for a map like Fish Market, but they're going to go with it. They want that healing, and they want that ultimate, which is global enough to let your team do a kind of coordinated push even on a wide map like Fish.
Okay, so hear me out. This is just me spitballing ideas, but Ying, and this has nothing to do with what we're about to watch. This is entirely only to do with my brain. If Io were not competitively banned, this is one of the best maps for Io to play on, right? I mean, she almost dominates this. We've seen it since she came out. If you're on Fish Market and you don't have Io, you honestly just start thinking about the next map. Your draft is out of hand. You didn't ban the right champion, so you gotta figure out where you're going to go. But, Kresnik, to fix this, what if Ying's illusions, because there's multiple of them, they'd only get half, but they could technically capture as well. Then they'd give something to fight down there with Luna a little bit, right? And then we just get to the point where eventually we have barrack turrets also that can run around on their own, and the game plays itself. We get to watch that. It'd be fun, I think, to see.
Either way, it gives something
to maybe
if everyone disconnects. Everyone disconnect and the game will play itself, and then just have the admins look up the match ID, see who won, and then I would you couldn't pay me enough to cast that. But Damba Rom will be where you see Carnage go. Kind of surprising to see them taking a support after a Ying first pick by Ignite, but they want that, I guess, the damage reduction if he gets dove. They wanted to make sure they didn't get maybe stun Damba is really important for them. But Vivian going third rotation for Carnage into an Ashe and a Maeve. Yeah. That could be a tough matchup if they're aggressive enough, especially with the potential backing of this illusory rift.
I mean, you're already in a weird scenario where Vivian is going 6th overall when she's available. I mean, Victor's still available, nobody's looked at it, which I think, again, maybe goes down to what you can expect out of Brazil, because they like to bring the spice. I like Ying, Maeve, Ashe on this map. I think all three of those have had a lot of success, especially with Ying's ultimate being able to come into the play. You're going to have to acknowledge that. It almost feels as though, maybe I'm flashing back to last year too much here, but I kind of want to fill out the rest of this draft with, like, EV Khan and just let him run you down the entire time. I mean, good luck keeping up with him. I think Strix fits in there as well from what we've seen on Fish Market. But they go for Leon on the other side. I think that's where we should hone in for Carnage Gaming. It's a different look, I think, for everybody, as I believe my camera just froze.
No, you're just very contemplative.
I'm a very good
okay?
ventriloquist.
I mean, you had to think about what you wanted to see next, and I think I agree with Khan. I think that would be kind of a neat pickup to see here, but it'll be Atlas, so a little bit more control-oriented, it seems, but that's a little bit of a mismatch. I mean, it's going to be Ashe and Maeve on one side, Strix and Atlas on the other trying to get some poke, so a unique combination there, and Carnage, they respond with an Andro, so triple DPS here with a ROM solo tank. We've seen ROM solo tank, I think, be successful in the past, at least being piloted by Snap-In, but a lot of hit scan here. Haven going to be at a premium for the members, I think, of Ignite.
Man, I'm wondering who's going to play this Andro. I mean, earlier, we were kind of talking about it in between the sets, but chat was going on about who the best Andro player. I think there was an of all time that kind of appended onto that, but maybe we'll get to see just who the best Andro player, at least in this set, is as of today. Carnage picking that one up there. Again, one of the top picks in the game in several regions. Even in Brazil, we've seen him go first pick. He makes it all the way down there to 10th. A lot of hit scan on the side of Carnage Gaming. I mean, how do you feel about this draft coming into it, specifically on a map like Fish Market?
I love the combination on Ignite, I think, but Carnage, I am a little bit concerned. Only because, yes, Vivian just won, but I can never give my vote of confidence to Vivian on Fish Market, purely because of the 2018 finals. Just Na'Vi with that desperation. Oh God, give him Vivian. We'll play Vivian. Maybe that'll help us turn it around when Envy were able to flip that. But it's just so hard to give it my vote of confidence. But Leon will be great. Andrew will be great. If they can get aggressive enough behind this ROM, I think they could swing it pretty far in their favor.
Well, this is what I'm most excited for. Maeve on any map, I think, can change a lot of the game. Deja Vu going to be rocking this one. Also, was a name that was thrown out there. A few people in chat. It's somebody that you'd have to keep an eye out on Andro, but this time around, we'll just see what he has in terms of flank potential. And look at the damage they're already putting on. I mean, Andro's already almost dead. Same thing for Leon in the background. And this Atlas is getting aggressive. Hornskin, maybe a little bit too aggressive here into the Andro-Leon combo. He's going to be playing it safe alongside Deja Vu. Nobody, as of yet, has been able to look on the point, but that's usually the first domino to fall. It's going to be 2 clean kills picked up by Ares. Making it into the back line is going to be cool. Scooter picking up some kills between them. And just like that, Ignite Gaming are gone and back in base.
And they should be able to keep this up, but Cool actually can't finish off Penny. Ares has to do it himself, so 3 picked up already from this Androxus. And hit scans are so good at just dismounting on this map. There's such a long angle into the spawn that they can almost certainly stop that with 84%, and no real burst mobility on the side of Ignite. With that Ashe being the late death, it should be a certain first mid for Carnage. I like the use of the booby traps just to kind of spam at the Strix, though, especially if they're running nowhere to hide. Just having that long time reveal will make his rotations a lot more predictable, but Carnage, I think they just want a little bit of damage before they engage, and that could help them find that first pick.
I mean, it's very similar to how they started around the point fight, right? Where it's just like, you know what, we're going to figure out where we want to attack it, and then it's just all going to hit at once. It's a very, I want to say, typical strategy on Fish Market. I think it just kind of fits. Midnight going to help thwart some of that aggression. In fact, Deja Vu looking to turn a little bit around. Only picks up 1, though, and right now it's looking like that might not last too long. They're in 2v1 here against the ROM, and he's got a lot of damage, a lot of health. It still feels like that's something that he can't fight forever without things going wrong. Crimson goes down. Carnage, at least for right now, are going to have to take a little bit of a pause, maybe even having a stagger there on the ROM to make sure that they're going to have a little more time to burn here for Ignite Gaming.
That was a ton of damage, actually, that Scooter was able to do to Deja Vu. If that Ying wasn't right there, he actually probably would have killed that Maeve, but they can maybe try to do that again a little bit later once they get moving into some really aggressive assert dominance. Kind of surprising to see them using it this far forward, but they're just walking away, Gore. They don't even care.
Yeah, so the good news about assert dominance is it makes you immune. The bad news is it's only in this one circle. You can almost ignore it, but it does end up paying off for them here. They get 2 kills, 3 kills make it as they wipe out Carnage Gaming. Again, ROM, once again, surviving feels like maybe longer than anyone has a right to, at least in the eyes of Ignite Gaming. But it's going to give them a beautiful opportunity for a potential stagger. It's also keeping Carnage Gaming locked off. I mean, they've burned about 40 seconds since they first got that team wipe, and now they're still holding them back, making sure that this payload's going to be difficult to move forward. I believe I just saw someone touching over there. It's going to be this ROM staying alive too long, and he's at least going to get some pressure back on the payload.
Love the call by Scooter, I think, to move to the objective here. Don't love the call to use this Midnight, but on the back of that Kubi's getting knocked in by the booby trap and caught. Just great use of that booby trap there, but the fact that they just reacted right away to go for that. So tough here by Deja Vu, but the Ying pockets Zeed's insane on the healer here, but Rashao's hunting for more, but he just trades his life for it.
Unfortunately, that shot, it's nice and wide, but maybe not wide enough there to make it all the way around the tree. You can't wanted curve your bullets here. At least not yet. Maybe that'll be a future champion that we can see someday.
No spoilers,
now, looks like this one, you know, it'd only be spoilers if I knew anything about it. I just work here. I think that's the better way to word it. But Carnage Gaming managed to, well, they get themselves the first point. Ignite hold them at 1. Let's keep it tied up. QB's, like you had highlighted, having a pretty good round. 5-2-2 there for the sniper. But I think it's Zeed's that kind of stands out to me most. I mean, that is a low death count for a team that felt like they got rolled very early on. Zeed's put in a lot of healing. It's only 5k up compared to what Crimson's been able to put out. But still, being able to pocket specifically Deja Vu and keeping them rolling looked pretty solid.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Zeed's and Kubi's definitely stars. I was interested to see that build that Deja Vu was running. You don't normally see Scamper, I believe the card is, being run that highly, the Maeve pounce speed. Normally you see, you know, maybe low health DR, maybe you see other things, but interesting to see him focusing a little bit more on movement speed to kind of kite in and out there, but we'll see how it's going to affect him here. It seems to be doing decently for him for now, but lacking that Prowl reset might make him a little bit less consistent in the damage department.
Once again, Deja Vu making sure to stay alive there with the help of the support, but he's going to get caught out there. Good Dread Serpent. It does end up ultimately still resulting in 2 deaths there. Make it 3. Zorns can find somewhere a little bit else. Now they're just looking for the last pickup. Almost a mirror of what we saw in the first round. It's Ignite Gaming coming through and just wiping the floor with Carnage. Looking to hold them at bay here as they're only at 30%. Alice is usually pretty good at that. That wall, though, not as big as some of the ones we're used to seeing, so Carnage should have the ability to get back in here. It's just the question of whether or not they can get aggressive enough to find some kills. Coming around the corner, once again, locking Ares down like it's nothing. Feels like once you get rid of him, it becomes a little easier to get aggressive. This ROM does bite back, but it doesn't feel like it's going to hit anywhere near as hard now that Carnage have been clipped.
And the positioning of the Vivian actually making it way harder for them to contest Scooter, but Cool does rotate with Rashao kind of replacing him, but they just ignore the point. Rashao hugs the wall, doesn't even contest it, and they let Ignite cap. Deja Vu kind of run away with it. A 3rd for him, a 4th Deja Vu cleans up effectively the entire team, and he's hungry for this. Zeeds might even let him get it.
Well, definitely coming through as is the best Maeve this round, for sure. 4 kills in a row there as he picks it up. Carnage Gaming get this payload off to a, Ignite Gaming get this payload off to a good start. Carnage did have a similar start, though, last round, Kresnik. That was the kind of caveat, I think, that comes with this. I mean, they got about halfway before things stalled out. 1:30 is where things really came to fruition for Carnage. And so Ignite Gaming looking to try and maybe break that threshold. Once again, depends, I think, on this trade between Deja Vu and Ares, and Deja Vu just keeps picking them up. A 14 streak there for the Maeve. Beautifully played so far, and it's opened up a lot of doors.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely will let them go through as Deja Vu finds another kill. He's just so hard to take down, and definitely proving why Maeve has the highest win rate out of every single champion right now in the PPC globally with this push that they're following up with now. But look at this Maeve dueling on the side with Rashao, and this Illusory Rift. Now we might be able to see some of the value of it.
We'll have to see. I mean, look at that healing. It's all going nowhere as of right now, realistically. I mean, you get to come through. It at least keeps yourselves topped off, and full health bars going into this final fight are going to be important. Rachao dashes in, but goes a little too deep. He's trying to get rid of Zeeds, but since Zeeds is still standing, ultimately failed his goal. Doesn't matter, though. I mean, Zeeds stays alive. Penny, Orange Sky, and Deja Vu, QBs. He's the only one left alive at this point. And there's only so much you can do as a very, very lonely Ying at this point. He's even going to go in to contest a little bit longer. I mean, this feels almost as though he's staggering himself there. So another 5 seconds before he respawns.
That was an attempt at a back cap, I think. He just didn't realize maybe how far back Carnage were sitting. Thought they were sitting maybe a little bit too far forward, but Carnage playing it very safe and obviously smart to do that. It would have been pretty sick, honestly. I'm glad we had the POV on him in the first place. But Ignite, they have time to do this. Zeeds is already back with his heals. No ultimate up, but they can maybe spend an exile here. It's not a super impactful ultimate, but they might not even need to with the first pick going their way anyway.
That's going to be looking like it could be a good stun. great second chance coming down from Atlas, making sure he avoids that one. Now he's going to be putting up Scooter into a bad position. The shots are going to be good. The damage and the follow-up is going to be solid, but so far it's 2 for 2. Make it 3 for 3. No support on either side right now, so it's what you give is what you get in terms of the damage. Penny, Oranskine going down. Looks like that's going to be all she wrote for Ignite Gaming on Fish Market, going to 2-2, which means this next round, anyone can win.
Yeah, for sure. If they get it and manage to snowball it forward, it could be definitely, it could go out of control depending on how these mid-fights go. But that Cursed Arm at the very end by Ares, perfect use there. Winsky actually almost kind of was able to just roll it through, but good use of that ultimate when maybe not as easily used on this map. When Kubi's can snipe you down, Deja Vu can snipe you down, it's so open, you don't really have a lot of cover to play around. Could just use it in that point-blank range, but they spent almost everything. They only have Enlightenment and Sentinels, it looks like, close up here, but only Exile for Ignite, so a lot of ults went kind of both ways. Maybe Ignite could just keep playing the way that they are. Zeeds is running away with the healing, and Deja Vu at 15 and 4. Carnage is clearly struggling to find a way to take him down.
Yeah, and that helps. I mean, earlier we had highlighted the pocket healing that seems to be coming Deja Vu's way. Even here, you're going to see some of that as he makes sure that he stays above half health. You also have to keep your eyes 80% on that Illusory Rift. Midnight going to get used for some engage, but Ares is still alive, and that already is making, I think, some shaky ground for Ignite Gaming. Everyone's teetering just below half health. Well, at least 2 members, I should say, on the side of Ignite Gaming, as they're finally able to burn through 1, but they both lose their lives in the process. In fact, 3 of them fall down in the blink of an eye. Cool, looking to be the one to pop off. Rachao makes sure to put his name in there as well. Even Crimson get a sprinkling inkling of the kills as the shots ring true. And again, Fish Market, it feels like this has happened every single time, but it's just in the blink of an eye. I mean, you have all of this damage being dealt. It seems very methodical. And then you look away for 1 second, and everything collapses. 3 people are dead all of a sudden. Your team is gone. You don't know what to do. And unfortunately for Ignite, that means that they are now on the back foot.
And, you know, Carnage definitely don't seem too uncomfortable on this map. The fact that they had all 3 of their hit scans up in zoning, to me, says that I think they understand how Fish is really meant to go. But Kubi's now finding the first pick for them as they catch everyone else in the side. What a great boop, and they're locked in.
Just trying to stay alive at this point. Unfortunately, it's not going to be working out for a lot of them. In fact, Cool just finds himself in maybe the most awkward position to be in on Fish Market, and they had just enough percent for Kresnik to be able to get here and match up into the 80s. One from Carnage Gaming is around. Rachao! Wow, a long shot from downtown. Going to be able to get rid of Deja Vu. That opens up the opportunity for a touch, but no, Ares is just a little bit too slow. Rachao even picking up more kills in the process. They're not able to get there, so now it's a 3-2 lead for Ignite Gaming. It's the fight after the fact. That's the one that we're having to worry about. Looks like Carnage are going to be the ones that come out on top, slowing things down, at least for a little bit.
I liked the way that Ornstein delayed them. I think maybe if he moved earlier, they would have stopped Rachao from getting that second kill. They could have stabilized, but they're going to use the Midnight to do it instead. But Deja Vu doesn't see Leon there. Rachao now in the middle of their team gets Kubi's really low.
That's a couple of good shots. They just, I mean, systematic is the only way I can think to describe this one. Atlas goes down, and unfortunately for Ash, I feel like she's just next on the chopping block. Penny trying to stay out of this one, but it's not going to work for them. So, look, that's already 45 seconds down. If you're Carnage Gaming, you're exactly on pace for what you're trying to do. Another minute and a half, you'll be looking at yourselves a 3-3. But that's the awkward thing. I mean, you know, you're pushing towards a 3-3 here, and the last few mid-fights have not been going your way if you're Carnage Gaming. You got that very first point, nothing else. So you really have to work around, I think, what you're going to do around the mid more than what you're going to be doing for the next minute and 20.
Yeah, agreed. They have to figure it out. But, I mean, they're not unhappy about buying all the time that they are now. It really is all defense is at the end of the day, just bleeding that timer down as much as possible. If you stall out a fight that takes 2 minutes but eventually lose it, you have so many more chances to swing it back in your favor as Carnage. I love how aggressive they're being. Fish Market's such a long map. If you can take a fight this far forward, do it. And that's what they're going to do with only less than a minute left. They have still the entire card path for Ignite to roll.
Yeah, it is right where it spawned. And now that a couple of kills are coming out on the side of Ignite Gaming, if they can get one, there's an opener onto Cool that's going to be able to at least get them a little farther forward. But if you're looking at this, this is a defense coming down from Carnage Gaming. plenty of time to die, respawn, and set up another 2, 3, maybe even 4 of these if they're able to. But it finally looks like the collapse is coming through. Crimson doing everything in their power to make sure that Scooter stays alive, and does so for quite some time. Almost goes in and gets a kill onto the Ashe. QB's going to be able to put a little bit of a damper onto that one. But with 20 seconds left, Kresnik, they're finally on this payload. They're finally moving it forward. And that's a tough call to make in overtime. I mean, this is a long haul of a push.
Love seeing Crimson just going all the way in there. Why not, right? I mean, you're just trying to dismount them, make them want to kill you. Everyone's like, ooh, support streak, and they're willing to get off their mount for it here as these trades come in on the side. But advantage to Carnage with these 2 kills their way. Now the 3 members remaining of Ignite are going to have to stop Scooter from just running them down.
Yeah, I think that you said the magic phrase, stop Scooter. It's just not going to happen, at least not easily, now that Atlas is gone. We see where Ashe is, way too far from the payload. So Carnage Gaming get exactly what they want. What better way, I think, to continue the way the day has gone than to go to a 3-3 in the first map here in Brazil on Fish Market. They are not making it easy for each other. And I don't know, Kresnik, this one's a tough one to call. I mean, the last few mid fights have been going to Ignite Gaming.
And Ignite can keep it going, too, especially with the ults that they have. I think there's not really a great way for them to stop the Midnight coming in from Deja Vu, who is also topping these damage charts with Kubies. Even with Cool going 17-7, still getting outperformed by the 2 DPS on the side of Ignite, who I think are stellar players and definitely deserving of being in the conversation for top of Brazil, as the healing is also far in their favor, too. As long as the stats keep swinging their way, they can keep this up, but 1 or 2 good ultimates to stop the dive off of this Midnight from Carnage, whether it's a Cataclysm, whether it's a Dread Serpent, kind of cleaving their team as soon as they collapse on them. They can pick up a few, because Resilience, if they catch Zeets with it, he's not really going to live too long.
A couple of good shots there that are coming down from Ares, and he's going to get exiled, now held in place, but no one with a lot of follow-up, so he's still alive. He looks to push forward. Ornstein going to be able to find a kill, but it's traded out by Scooter, so no Rachao, but no big tank. Ares shot down, sniped out, but it doesn't matter. It comes at the cost of, well, it feels like everybody on the side of Ignite Gaming. Deja Vu, last man standing. Looks like he's going to use this mobility for good. Showcase an interesting path you can take on Fish Market, only if you have a double jump, a reset, and a pounce that you're able to use to kind of close that gap. He's going to be able to get out alive, but that's going to be 50% and rising for Carnage Gaming and control the mid.
And Ashe used the assert dominance a little bit earlier, so they won't have it for this retake. It's going to have to be someone with less sustain and less movement, but actually they're ignoring it for now, but they're giving it up right now. Crimson Arm will maybe connect on this Mave, but nothing for now. They're just trading ults back and forth, but Kubies will be the first to fall.
Ooh, Cool and Z going to be able to find 1, find 2, find 3. Let's make it a triple. Not even necessary there for the 4th. Ares will clean up 1. You'll burn down this Atlas like he is just some old dry wood you found in the forest. Either way, Carnage Gaming burn through Ignite Gaming and now find themselves very comfortably ahead.
Yeah, just a great play by the end, I think, of things for Ignite. But it wasn't enough to flip it against Carnage, right? They pulled away. They had a decent fight, but Cool was just completely out of control from Carnage there, tearing through them effectively. You have to pay attention to Vivian, at least just a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Let your Rom pressure her, let your Mave... not Rom, let the Atlas pressure, maybe the Ashe, the Mave, anybody. One of your players has to get on her to stop that free damage from coming in, because if you ignore her, she'll win the game. They ignored her when it mattered, and look, she was 17-7 at the start of that fight. He gained a perfect 5 on top of that with effectively a full team wipe.
I mean, 109,000 there from Deja Vu, 108,000 there from QBs, only topped by the 113,000 from Cool. A big triple kill at the very end to really help his team out. I mean, a lot of that, you know, we were talking maybe about the Andro 10th pick at the very end of it. Ares, I mean, maybe had a good grip on this. He was a big focus for Ignite Gaming. He didn't really get a lot of opportunities to shine. This might have been one of the few and far in between where he really was kind of the pop-off defender, or I guess in the sense of being the offensive team, the offender that was able to come through and really make the difference for his team. Otherwise, it was mostly Cool.
Yeah, and Cool, I felt like it was just a couple kills per fight, but it felt almost quiet in comparison to me, if you know what I mean. Like, it was Vivian doing Vivian things, but Rachao and Ares are the ones having the explosive moments, even if they were dying more consistently in the fights, right? It was hot and cold with Ares and Rachao, but Cool was just consistently warm from start to finish in the set. Here was that, I believe, that triple that he got, again, in the core of their team, uncontested. They're too worried about other people, and you can't not worry about a Vivian that's in the middle of your team.
And I think those highlights are like the best example of what you mean when it's just like, a Vivian pop-offs aren't necessarily the biggest pop-offs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, cool, she held left click with the Sentinels out. Absolutely worked out for them. Either way, it worked out there for cool. So it's going to be solid as they move forward. Now to Ice Mines, up 1-0. So now we'll have to see if they can continue this amount of pressure. Ice Mines, Fish Market, both, I want to say, longer maps from what we've seen in the past, even though they play not so dissimilar that you can't pick up same champions, but they're not necessarily the same map. They're not the same style. You're going to have to change some things.
Yeah, of course. Something will have to be different as it's a little more close range map for that sense. Some of the backlines are still good here, though. Snipers are almost just as good on this map as they are on Fish Market, but dismounts are a little bit less consistent to get. Interesting, though, the first ban on the Xin here. Xin, not necessarily super valuable on Ice Mines. Can be great with Guillotine, of course, but I don't know if I would see him in the ban column. Must be more of a target from Carnage onto them, as Corvus will fall. Hit scan support with great lack of line of sight healing. I think that he is a perfect pick for this map, so it makes sense for Ignite to want to take that away from Carnage.
Man, I'm actually a little surprised because Ares is the first name in this lobby that I think of when I think of Xin. Like, out of everybody that's been playing, he's the first one that I go to for someone who's going to play it. So Carnage, maybe either, like you said, banning him away from Ignite as a target ban, could be something I just haven't seen, or maybe even planning something that Xin would just be troublesome for. We've seen how obnoxious he can be on maps like this, just when it comes down to getting aggressive. He's definitely a nuisance, I think, is the polite way to word it. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there, because I know it's not going to happen, but Bomb King, Dredge, there's a couple of names that I'd like to see that we're not going to, but they work on Ice Mines, and they work pretty well.
We see Bomb King on ice in Brazil sometimes, not necessarily all the time, but Talus, we see them more than Talus. I'll say that much, but first pick valuable apparently for Carnage Gaming. He can get aggressive, he can run and clean up on damage, true power for dismounts, true power for setup, with some ultimates if they choose to go that direction, but for now, they're just stuck with the flanker as Ignite will pick up their tank of choice. Inara, even with Terminus open, which is, I would say, interesting, but they get Atlas as well, so a very stationary composition. Might be a good way to deal with that Talus, but they're kind of giving pick of the litter to Carnage in terms of DPS that they're going to be basically basing their whole comp around.
Yeah, again, we're in a world where not everybody here is going to be on controller, as you had highlighted. I believe only Cool in the lobby is playing with that. So Victor, more than likely an easy shoe-in for him, someone that works well on this map and works well when you're playing with a controller, but also someone that can pair well with a Vivian and a Talus, honestly, if you put it through. It's a lot of hit scan, it's a lot of individual focus, very similar to Fish Market. But at the end of the day, it gets the job done. Either way, it's going to be a Ying here once again, locked in, this time instead for Carnage over Ignite, stripping that away. I mean, I feel like she's just a solid support. I don't know if there's a lot to read into this. It's kind of surprising, I think, to see her going over Moldamba, though.
On a map like Ice, I think it makes sense. You can, again, use the hit scan support to dismount through the gates on the rollout, making the fight significantly harder for whatever team gets knocked off of their mounts a little bit more. Tiberius here, I love to see it on Ice Mines. I think that the bouncing has a lot of angles it can hit you at. It's very hard to escape Predatory Instincts Tiberius that's spamming down at you. And Dom will be picked up on the other side, so no hit scan, no dismounts for Ignite. They're going to rely on their pocket potential and their tanks to stop Carnage from getting by when they might have the positional advantage at the start of the mid.
Well, Tiberius, I feel like I've been really mean to him, almost as mean as I've been to, like, Barrick, although for different reasons. Barrick, I've been mean to because he got really nerfed and then just hadn't really been performing up to standard. Tiberius has been the most interesting one to me because he has been so hit or miss in every single region. I mean, we'll see North America in an area where he's going to come through and absolutely slaughter everyone that he comes through, and instead you come here to Brazil, where I'm trying to quickly find him because I missed the number I saw earlier, where he's got a 38% win rate across the 8 games he's been played in. So not a whole ton that he's been able to bring. I mean, how do you like him? He's picked up on Ice Mines a ton, but do you think this is like a saving grace for Ignite?
I think so. I think the Tiberius can definitely function as a dive character. When we see him work, he works well. I just feel like a lot of people haven't really put the time in necessarily to pick him up. And I think he's also good into those tanks, right? The heavy blade through the con shield, through the Nando shield, slows them down, makes the push a lot tougher, with Strix being the ending pick for Ignite. So I'm assuming that's going to be Kubi's on that Strix, going to be very hard for them to get through him. That's a lot of burst damage combined from both backlines. It's just about, can Penny and Ornstein stop this Talus and Khan from just running through the side that they choose?
Well, I'm looking at, Talus Khan is being able to get aggressive. No one on Ignite really screams to me the person that's going to jump in your face, unless Tiberius has his ult. Then that opens up that conversation, but otherwise it feels like a battle of range for Ignite Gaming, and admittedly on a map where range can hit or miss, quite literally, depending on the angle that you're choosing and where you're going to get held onto. We'll have to see, though, as it's been kind of pointed out, Khan, he's not been meta this year, I think is the best way to word it. And granted, he spent, 2 years as one of the top picks in the game, so it's perfectly fine for him to get thrown down a little bit. But it does cause some questions to come up. I mean, why would you go something like Khan Nando instead of picking up even a Terminus here?
I think maybe Terminus over Nando was the argument, but I like the Khan as an off-tank. I think having the overpower potential is great when you can just execute someone right away, especially when you're against double backline, right? Let's say maybe they can't break through that Atlas. The Atlas is just playing perfectly, absolutely stonewalling them. And then you just pull the Strix. And then the Atlas is just in the door. He looks back, looks forward. What does he do now? Nothing. You have the damage advantage at that point. So even if maybe you lose the first mid because of the pick that you have not being able to really get as aggressive, just having the threat of that overpower is enough on a map that is so ult-centric like Ice Mines tends to be.
We'll have to see if he's going to be able to find it. No ult at the beginning of the game, so he's going to have to work on that one if he wants it for the first point fight. Already Ignite Gaming sitting around about a fourth of the way towards capturing this first mid. Nothing big has popped off just yet. In fact, I'm actually surprised to see Carnage Gaming going as slow as they are, but you can see Fernando coming over with the Talus. Nice big shield to make sure that this small lad can stay alive and get his damage done. It's going to be enough. They get Rachao in on the other side, and the damage combo is going to be able to find Deja Vu, just making it a 4v5, and at least seemingly enough to force Ignite to fall back. They trade out Ares, though, Kresnik. It's going to at least keep them in the neighborhood in contest for this fight. 54-42, still leading for Ignite Gaming.
And now they rotate back on the side of Carnage to give up points a little bit more as they also get their spawns back. So a lot of space given up purely by the respawns, playing it very carefully here, I think. But they have their victor, kind of being nailed by the Khan. But it's an even trade, and I feel like Strix should win these stalemate fights. But Rachao actually gets in. The Atlas isn't really in a spot to stop him, and Ares now, with the distraction, takes down Deja Vu.
Oh, one snipe a little too wide. Ares gets the kill, not only onto Deja Vu, but onto Zeeds as well. It looked like he was going to continue trying to pressure out the Strix, but he just says, all right, who needs you? You're not going onto the objective. Let's get rid of the Inara. And unfortunately there, QB's, I think, just pokes his head out at the wrong time. Ares is going to burn him down. Now he's looking for the target he wanted. Look at the zone as well. Already looking about 50% down the hill for where the push is going to be. So the payload is going to have to play catch-up for a little while. It is notable that none of the healers in this game are going to be able to get you through walls or globally unless that ult is available for Ying. This damage, the kills, the pressure right now from Carnage Gaming is going to get them a lot of ground.
And they're going to get an overpower onto Ornstein as well there. The Atlas pulled in as Cool manages to take him down. They're just going to keep this rolling forward. They didn't back up fast enough necessarily, and now Rachao is kind of isolating Kubi's with the rest of his team as space is just being taken by Carnage on all sides. They're getting completely just shoehorned into this one little area.
They're just trying to get aggressive. I'm actually really happy with how aggressive this has gotten. There's a good seismic crash, though, coming through. Penny looking to lock them down. It's not looking good, though. When you're in Inara, you're on your own, and 3 people start barreling down at you. You know what you're going to be feeling. A double kill for Cool. Let's make it 3 one more time, making sure to continue the long list. In fact, go ahead and grab a 4th. The only one staying alive is hiding in base. This payload might as well just go ahead and walk on in. I don't know if anyone from Ignite is going to feel confident trying to jump down and defend that.
Oh, absolutely no way. You have to play your high ground there, but I don't know if I really love the fight that Ignite took. You have a Strix, you have double backline. Why are you pushing around the corner from the place where you have literally an invincible Strix? Like, you're no damage taken, not a point of damage can go into your DPS if they're playing in those windows, but they choose instead to use a seismic crash, do a 4th of the Khan's health and damage, and back up. It's just a bad decision by Ignite that they're going to have to live with now, missing some ultimates for this with the Dread Serpent also having been spent as well. They have a couple ults for Carnage as well, halfway to the overpower. They have the barrage, but honestly, the fact that Carnage spent everything that they did is Ignite's main saving grace here coming into this next mid.
Well, Bowser, there's only one death on the side of Carnage Gaming, and it is on to Talus. Ares died once at the very beginning, and they haven't been touched since. Like you said, no big ults available for Carnage outside of that barrage immediately. That'll be a level playing field. Good damage from Deja Vu, although he's not going to be able to find the lockdown on Ares. So still no big kills just yet. Once again, starting off very similar to the first mid. They're already at 27%. They find themselves there. The sword comes out for the weapons master, and he's going to start chasing down the Khan. He's getting some decent damage, but he misses the window once. Still going to be able to find the kill on Rachel, but maybe had to invest a little bit more than they wanted to. They get traded out 1 for 1. Now it's up to Ares. Can he find the trade? He's got a little help now from his tank friend. Ends up going 1 for 1 again as Deja Vu helps find a down and set down another. Doesn't seem like this is going to go well for them. It just leaves this Victor uncontested. He's going to be able to find Zeeds. I don't want Cool, who just got a quadra kill running rampant in my backline. It feels like Ignite Gaming are pressured out, and this should start to lean towards Carnage.
And wow, Kubi's just deleted as no one's expecting Cool to push through that lower mines tunnel here. It's going to be a hard push for them, especially with Atlas trying to be the one who deals with the Victor. Victor kind of naturally destroys Atlas, in my opinion, but now with that extra stagger, there he's finding the Tiberius, and now the Inara falling as well. This will be a tough retake for them, almost certainly going their way. But with this Victor very strong into the Atlas, really hard for them to push, and I feel like the members of Ignite are doing damage. They're just getting out-sustained. All the shields that are going up in the way, plus the Ying healing. It's making it so difficult, I feel, for the members of Ignite.
I mean, what you're going to have 2 shields coming down, 1 from Khan, 1 from Fernando. And Nando's shield is nothing to stop him. I mean, look at that thing. It's huge. And then you get the healing that you're going to have not just from the Ying, but also that Talus has in his self-kit, as well as Victor being able to kind of itemize into that if he so chooses. So you've got a good amount of sustain on Carnage Gaming. It definitely does seem to be playing a huge role into this. Although finally, Ares, Crimson, Rachel all taken down. It looks like the other 2, having just fallen slightly before that, are trying to make their way back. The zone's going to come through from Ignite. But this is always where things get hairy. I mean, if you find a defense here, you can easily burn down another minute and a half Kresnik. But if you miss up, that payload's now all of a sudden right outside your base.
Yeah, with the timing of the push, I think it is going to be really difficult. They have to be careful not to get caught out too hard, but they're already kind of surrounded. Look at how Carnage retook this. They walked in, but Deja Vu reads that immediately and takes him down, but they're still getting cleaved by these tanks, with a Victor being backed up by them.
That's a good seismic crash. Again, locks a lot of people down. There's not enough follow-up. That sustain playing a strong role here. They already used that illusory. It's back at 60%, doing a great job keeping everyone moving forward here for Carnage Gaming. Cool is going to be able to find themselves a kill. Ares, I want to say maybe sacrificial lamb in that case, just kind of runs at the team with no support and unsurprisingly dies in that scenario. It's all to get them back towards this coveted payload with 50 seconds left. They're at least going to be able to get the touchdown, and Ares just barely, or I'm sorry, Cool just barely not going to be able to find the kill onto Tiberius. Still, doesn't matter because he gets it onto Penny.
And Cool will want to keep looking for more here as he makes a little bit of room, but for his team. But now he had to go without a tank for now, as Rachel does catch back up. But again, they have to be so careful. I don't know why they're trying to push this far forward. They have these backlines they can play around, but they walk and take this space, and they just walk right into Cool and Ares. This is what they want them to do.
Well, looking for the angle. Now the barrage is going to come down. Finds Ornn like it's nothing. They burn down Penny afterward. Tiberius, last man standing. Same thing for this Maldamba. Doesn't feel like, once again, they're not going to jump down here. So Carnage Gaming, a quick 4-0 on Ice Mines. I mean, exactly what you want to see when you see someone lock that map in, is to showcase they know what they're doing, and that's exactly what Carnage did.
Yeah, I liked the way that they use their ultimates on the map too as well. I think using it to cap kind of surprises some people, but I like the aggressive use of the overpower onto the Atlas, constantly catching him out, not giving him a chance to rewind to get maximum value. Immortals just on the push so they can push around corners. It was a good use of the tank ultimates, and having that Victor to counter the Atlas, Ignite, I think they picked it into him, but completely caught off guard by those barrages and the raw damage.
And you have to look at it. I mean, you had highlighted the healing coming through, But what is that? 20, 30,000 between the two healers just in there, then sprinkle in a little bit of con healing that I think keeps everyone alive. And by the way, that doesn't even count the self-healing that could come through. So there's a lot of sustain there for Carnage Gaming, plus just good damage. I mean, you don't get a quadra kill every day, and so that's going to come there for Cool. And several times throughout all of this, Cool was realistically the one to keep your eye on. I mean, what was it, 12-1? That I saw taken down only once towards all of it. And I mean, it's just so solid for them. It felt like a good pickup when they locked it in. He's been good on Ice Mines for what feels like a year or so now. He started showing his face, well, a little bit earlier than this time last year. And now he's doing just fine.
I mean, now that he's able to be picked up everywhere, he's going to thrive even more on his good maps. This is another map where Victor can be played, but we'll see how they want to go into it here on Splitstone Quarry. This could be a map, maybe we see the Strix band. We've seen it picked up a couple times. I wouldn't be shocked to see that removed because it can be such an impactful pickup. But the bans have kind of been, I feel like they've been kind of all over the place, Score. I don't even feel comfortable predicting them with where they've been in these last two maps.
I feel like we will see Corvus, and I feel like we could see Genos, but those have been the only two even somewhat consistent bans that have been able to make it down there. So, like you said, questionable at the very least from Ignite Gaming and Carnage. And not because they've been bad bans, just because who knows what they're going to decide. They don't want the other team to play this time around. Could be Snipers. Seems like it's going to be Zen again. And this makes a little more sense to me. I see Ignite ban it against Carnage, and again, I think Ares when I see Zen. He's just a nuisance on maps like these because of how long he can hold overtime. But even then, first ban Zen feels almost uniquely Brazil at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I do find it strange on a map like Splitstone, though. Because when I think Splitstone, I'm not immediately screaming Zen in my head. I think he's good in Quarry. But once you actually get to the push, once that high ground differential comes in, he doesn't really have a way to equalize that a lot of the time, unless he's willing to spend that ult to make it up there. But Corvus and Genos, like you said, they're going to be the consistent bans that are taken out every time in this set. Sometimes they get let through in Europe, but sometimes they get let through in North America, but we are seeing some pressure there in Brazil. And Ruckus kind of flying across the ocean as well from Europe, landing in the ban column in Brazil as well.
I feel like I saw a few people earlier talking about how they wish they could see more Ruckus, and well, unfortunately, that's all you're going to get out of him. Sorry, wrong side. That's all you're going to get out of him is down there. When it comes to Europe, like you said, he's banned a lot. It's kind of interesting to see that jumping over the pond there that is the Atlantic into Brazil and saying that, yeah, I know he is pretty good. And it's something I was hoping to see out of these regions. I mean, he's been phenomenal lately. Even last year, we saw how good he could be in the right hands. So I'm happy to see him banned, even if it means I'm unhappy to see him banned because I wish I could see him play a little bit more. Either way, Ying once again going first pick. Maldamba, it's been the two we've seen all day here in Brazil. And it seems like Carnage are perfectly happy. I mean, you're not really hurting for your support there, but they're perfectly fine locking it in first.
I find it weird that they're willing to pick up the Damba. Like, you could take a tank away from them. You could take another DPS away from them, right? You could go both if you want to go triple, but they're just picking up the Damba, even with the Ying being first picked by Ignite. I mean, the Ying looked great from Zeeds on that first map, but I still feel like there's a lot they could be giving up, but Carnage is kind of just giving it back to them here. But Ignite, they get that Victor, they take it away from Cool, but Vivian's still up if they want to go that lane here as Ignite. Probably want to take a tank here, probably a point tank. They have that Ying, and Inara will be what they pick up to pair with that hard pocket potential that Ying can bring.
I would argue at this point you have the core, right? I mean, you kind of mentioned it. Like, you've already got Ying who can pocket the Inara. That's going to make a lot of trouble. Then you get the Victor, who's not going to have any troubles whatsoever from long range at the high ground, especially maybe pressured out by the Buck. We'll have to see how that matchup goes. But right now I'm leaning personally towards Ignite Gaming. I like the comp they've been able to bring, but Buck brings a little bit of flavor. Fernando as well. It's been an interesting pickup. Worked out well for Carnage last time, so there's no reason to really scoff at it as of right now. The Splitstone Quarry may be a little more difficult to make those shields work as often. Strix locked in alongside him.
Yeah, and the Strix is going to be, I think, great for Splitstone, of course. It's going to trade well into the Victor as well. Victor will kind of need that barrage available if they want to actually manage to finish him off. But Khan will be the follow-up there, so interesting to see them going with that over, I mean, even Atlas, who's still available, who would do probably a little bit better into this Buck. Great, actually, into the Buck for the rewinds, but they will have the overpower. which of course on a map like this would be phenomenal. Throw them into the fidget spinner, throw them into the lava, a lot of ways to execute. And hey, the argument in the chat maybe can now get proven. Deja Vu will get his Androxus here. So verticality, medium range will trade pretty well into the buck, and I think duel the Strix pretty well also. And it's either this is where we get to see the flex from Carnage if they go to that triple DPS, if they go to that second tank. So a couple options up for them. Maeve hovered right now, which could be good for them going with that buck. That double aggression might overwhelm that Victor. If they don't peel for him perfectly, that Victor can just get totally collapsed on.
Like you said, peeling perfectly for Victor, but also if you look towards Andro, right? I mean, you had mentioned that if he's going like one-on-one against Buck, he could easily walk away with that one. One-on-one against Strix, maybe he could even walk away with that one. But if there's 3 people to deal with on the one side, eventually you are going to be met with some aggression that you're just not going to be able to handle. So maybe trying to put a cap on top of what Ignite have drafted in here. Carnage, though, they're leading 2-0. They get a good draft. And this, again, it maybe feels like I'm taking a dig. And this is assuming it is Ares, but Maeve was one of the best champions we saw Ares on throughout the entire time he was playing there on SSG. I feel like it was the one that was the most reliable for him. So I'm excited to see if that's where they choose to go with this for Carnage.
I mean, as someone who coached SSG, we definitely tried to give him Maeve pretty often, so I would expect to see that fully from them, I think. Also, Carnage, it's got to be cool on that Strix, I think, which means we get to see Rochelle Buck. If that is how everything crumbles, that'll be an interesting sight. The X-main tank now picking up the tankiest flanker. It should be a natural transition for him here on Splitstone Quarry.
We'll have to see if Ignite Gaming can keep their hopes alive here as they're trying to fight. If they can win this set, maybe bringing Carnage right back down into punching range for them in terms of the standings. Otherwise, Carnage further solidifying themselves in second place, keeping right behind Parallax Gaming. All depends on whether or not they find this as a 3-0. It is worth noting, just because we're looking at the big picture, that there is a very massive map gap between these two. You see Ignite Gaming getting wins, but there are 4 1s, 3 1s or 3 2s in the set, as opposed to what seems to be Carnage Gaming's 3-0 potential. We're even getting a glimpse at right now, might even be able to do it as they come into this one. Starting off the fight, I don't know, there's a ton of places to go for this, Kresnik. Where do you think they're really going to find that pop-off?
I mean, with the double flanker, I think you have to play Lava. You have to at least start over there because you're not going to meet them in Quarry, and both teams are kind of doing it. Everyone on Ignite sitting on high, spamming down on them as both flankers, like we said, going into Lava, but they have to meet this Khan. He's slowing things down and actually forcing them into the sight lines of this Andro and this Victor.
Well, they're getting a decent amount of damage done, but so far, first blood as everyone's taking a little patient. This has felt like the MO for this set, though. Go in, get a little bit of damage, see what you can do before you overcommit and get too aggressive. Look at Ignite Gaming's positioning. Yes, you're getting a lot of damage onto that Maeve, but they're just quarantined, essentially away from the objective. They're finally able to move back in, but it's 42-21. They're controlling the objective right now on the side of Carnage.
Managed to have it, and if the first blood actually does finally happen, but it's just flank for flank there on that side with Deja Vu managing to get that first one. But Carnage, I mean, the Nando is having a great time on that point, just sitting there, the shield up. Victor has to put all his energy into it. If he doesn't, then Inara's not going to burn through that anytime soon, but here might come the aggression. But Maeve knocked down so early, and now they need their buck to come back for them to actually start this push.
Well, the Strix found a lot of good shots, but it's the follow-up damage that really matters. 84% picked up. This Nando doing a better job of being Inara than the actual Inara in the game. Stood on the objective, just a little bit stronger. That shield cooldown definitely helping him out. There's a good wall, though. Stop some of the damage. Midnight comes out, and that's usually the best time to get aggressive, but nothing big happens. In fact, without Rachao, it feels like it's just a huge pause. Barrage comes down, canceled to try and get rid of those goggles. Not going to save your life this time. Ares gets rid of QB. Zeeds gets rid of Ares. Comes out net neutral, so it's 96-93. Slight favor for Ignite Gaming, holding on to this one. Dread Serpent goes deep, looking to control the objective. The ult, the overpower, the toss gets rid of the tank, and with only one of them, feels like Carnage Gaming are going to have a tough time trying to hold up to the Khan and Nara. They've got the damage, they're still dealing it, and still trying to fight, but they lose 2 lives in the process. Now it's up to this Buck. It feels like maybe too much for them to ask. It seems like it will be. Ignite Gaming get point number 1.
Deja Vu with that cleanup there near the end. So close in terms of health on the Ornstein, barely surviving the seismic crash from the Inara, actually perfect. And Ignite charged so many ults in that fight. I mean, we had Victor, this is his second ult. Both of the tanks had their ults. We had the Accursed Arm coming out as well, so quite a bit coming out here. But here comes the Immortal to keep Carnage up, but no one else is there to follow up, and he'll stabilize, but that's an ultimate that really could have gotten more.
Couple of good shots. Right now, it's just deja vu, everybody being able to get aggressive. Ares up there on that Mave. Always someone to keep your eye on. Someone I'm incredibly happy to watch, always, on this Mave. They're finding their kills if they're Carnage Gaming, looking for the lockdown. Because, again, about a minute burned off the clock. They've made it halfway through the push so far. So that's a good amount of control coming down. Can they kill the Inara is the question of the day. It looks like the answer is going to be no. Rachao in an unfortunate position. Hey, he's Buck, he's tanky, he's got a heal, 2,600 health. What is that? The only person who I know that rivals that is tanks and Tyra that can come through. Either way, he's happy as they get aggressive. You can die here happily if you're Carnage Gaming because you'll be able to respawn and defend one more time, no problem.
I think Rachao's playing this smart, though, by distracting the back. I gotta say, though, big feels bad for Rachao. He dove in like, all right, it's my time to shine. And as soon as he presses Heroic Leap, Ying uses Illusory Rift. It's like, all right, well, I'm not killing anything. So I'm just going to do anything else I can in the back line to slow them down. And he slowed them down. He bought time. Again, that's the whole point of this defense. So 50 seconds left now. Finally, Ignite. Get back to this objective. And Carnage are managing to get back into their defensive positions. The Nando is close, and the flankers are ready to engage.
Rachao gonna get aggressive. God, he eats a lot of damage just to get up there. Does make it out alive, but just barely so. Shoutouts to Fernando, keeping him going there. But the barrage gonna be able to pick up. It's not the Rachao, but it is at least a good kill. Get rid of Cool, and you're going to find yourself in a very happy position. In fact, all of the DPS now gone for Carnage Gaming in what feels like the blink of an eye. Unfortunately for Scooter, that means he's left alone. Now they're locked just outside the base. They still have Strix and a nice open stretch of land. That payload's looking to come around this last corner, Kresnik. They've got 10 seconds left before they go into overtime. Feels like a good spot to be in if you're Ignite.
Yeah, but it's really hard, I think, for Ignite to actually win against a Strix that's in the spawn door. And Ares cleaning up on all that damage immediately, finds 2 kills and looking for more.
A couple of good shots here. They get rid of QBs, they get rid of the support. And Inara, well, Penny, you stay alive. Well, just barely. Nope, finally taken down there. Scooter, after the timer goes away, finds the kill, but they were locked away from the objective either way. Didn't have much merit to where they were going, so keeping the hope alive here. Kresnik, normally I would just let you talk about anything you want, but Cool is 1-4, Rachao is 1-6. So collectively 2-10 between the two of them.
Oh no.
Is not a very good game for 2 of the 3 DPS on Carnage.
But Cool is running away with the damage charts, though. Like, we can't ignore that. He was pretty high up, if I remember what I just saw correctly. Cool and Ares are both really high up there. Ares is just taking all the kills from them. Rachao is really struggling, I think, here more so than the rest of them. Just hard to win the trades. He's maybe stalling them out, but Deja Vu is getting the better of it. But maybe now that he has caught 2, not caught 3, having to get that resilience, it could be a little bit better for Rachao. He'll be able to heal pretty much right in his face. Make it a little easier, but I like this aggression from Cool. This is how you have to play Strix right now, and he's already taking advantage of Zeeds and forcing off the Victor as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting take to be able to make, but there, that 1,500 threshold from the Immortal going to keep him alive and keep him going. 2,100, but plucked like it's nothing into the lava. Get burned down by Ornn. Now that's going to be a kill for kill. Penny traded out for all that. Means advantage on the point should go to Carnage. Once again, they're missing 2 of their 3 DPS. That's a lot of work for Ares to have to put in here. This Maeve can only do so much on her own, even with Nando kind of frontlining everything. They only get up to 39%. Trying to catch up to Ignites now. 54 and still rising control. Just gonna have the DPS rejoining the fight, but it feels like a lot of work.
Yeah, and actually Barrage, I said that Strix might have the advantage unless Barrage is up, and there it is right there working for them, but it's traded out with the aggression, and both flankers now going wild in the back, with Ares turning all the heads.
He's going to be able to turn maybe too many that time around. Again, gets a lot of damage, gets a kill even. Penny's going to commit to making sure that Maeve doesn't stay alive, but it does give Carnage Gaming control on the objective. 90% forces Penny to play their hand. Get aggressive, get onto the point, throw up the wall even, just to make sure you have a little bit of space between you and that Nando. Buck Wild going down into the back line. Ares, Deja Vu on the Andro going to go up into the sky. But it looks like it's going to pause there real fast as they just continue to get aggressive.
Yeah, as things are saying right now with them kind of hovering there above it. But that fight could have gone either way, I think, from what I saw there. The Khan in a decent position on the low ground, over to the side of it with Penny sitting there. But I think there's too much damage up from Carnage with the way that the Buck was positioned there, and the Damba relatively close by for the healing. And actually Cool in a good position as well. If the Khan can maybe rotate and deal with him, Cool sitting inside of that quarry with the Khan trying to pressure him. Maybe the Khan shuts down Cool and Penny can live on the point, but there's a lot of factors that have to go, I think, Ignite's way for them to keep this fight in their favor.
And a lot of it, I think, kind of falls onto Deja Vu here, right? Onto this Andrew. I think that's really where a lot of this curve is going to come in, because where he lands in the fight and how much focus is on him immediately might get some of that damage off. But like you said, there's also a lot of pressure on these tanks in order to make things go their way. The good news is, realistically, you just have to kill Fernando. If you're one of the DPS there for Ignite, you get rid of him, and you should, just by numbers advantage, be able to take control of the point, having the two tanks. But like you said, Carnage just have so much damage available to him in the form of long range from that Strix, as well as something close like Ares is going to be able to bring on the Maeve. There's just this huge jumble, and it almost feels like a risk to do what Andrew is doing, which is kind of coming out of that open area.
Yeah, but Cool's in the inside, and they know that. They know that Cool is actually sitting there in a place that he might not have the best angles necessarily on the inside of that, as we managed to go back into the game with his rotation behind. Actually, I like the way he played this, but they're all going to tank through his accursed arm, but he's still putting on the pressure.
I mean, it's going to be good damage, but like you said, pressure ends up going maybe against them this time around. You get some pressure onto the back line. You help get rid of Cool even, but you don't get the point. And that's all that matters at the end of the day, at least for Carnage right now. 2 minutes left. They're already off to a great start on pushing this one forward. Ares goes down. So there's a little bit of a slow, but with 2 minutes left, I think you're happy with this kind of trade for Carnage.
For sure, but Ignite now, with the way that they're managing to make it work with the aggressive push, they find other tanks as well, as Cool will stop them. No one else really able to go to the high ground, and that's going to be a big thing that Ignite have to deal with, I think, once they get on the offense. But for now, just trying to stagger out and be a little more careful, as Carnage might make their way back to this objective, but they trade another kill for it.
They're going to be hanging around right over here. 1:40 left. No Cool. Like, the slash lines for them weren't very impressive going into this round. I don't imagine it's gotten much better for them since then. Immortal going to come down from Scooter to try and get aggressive. Again, just holding everybody more or less at 1,500 if that's where you need to be, although it didn't seem like anyone was taking that much damage. Maybe Ares in the process of being saved, but that death delayed as of right now. Penny goes for the seismic crash, at least gets rid of Crimson. It's not a favorable trade. So far, 2 for 1. Make it 2 for 2. Cool. Looking to try and pull it back. He heard the remark I made about his KD. And he's trying to change it up as fast as possible. Good shot into the Victor. Ends up taking a lot back. 9 health. But he walks on out of there still alive.
Yeah, barely manages to make it out. I gotta say, though, I don't know how I feel about the way that Scooter used his ultimate there. I feel like you want to use Immortal to maybe flip a fight that's already on its head, but there was no fight happening. They used it to engage, but didn't have the burst damage to make it happen. And Ignite, though, just running up top. Ares was not ready for that retake, as Ignite now will move forward and need to charge up their ultimate. Seismic Crash and Illusory Rift both will be very impactful. They just have to bully them enough to find damage to have them on this next mid, which is going to be potentially game deciding.
30 seconds left. Ooh, that's a good opener. I was trying to figure out where the pressure was going to strike and where it was going to come from. Cool. Saving me from having to ponder. Make sure to put a stamp onto this one. Once again, a great shot to be able to find this. Now being able to get aggressive. It caused a lot of trouble for him. It was 2 quick kills in succession. Now Ornn going to go down as well. It opens up the pressure for them to continue pushing forward. Ares going to be able to find Penny. Even though it's in overtime, they're once again coming around this last corner. Feels like the second time this game it's happened. Barrage trying to find some space, trying to create something, but it's only Deja Vu that goes down. Carnage are looking to walk this one forward. No one touching the payload there for a second. You can see how fast that overtime timer will disappear if they don't pay attention. Buck Wild looking to put the damage out and try to keep this one moving forward. One more kill onto QBs. That's going to be able to open up the damage to be susceptible. But can they get rid of these tanks? Khan already causing a lot of trouble. Finally, they burn through Ornn. Now it's just Penny that stands in their way. A little bit of flavor on the Deja Vu on the side, but once the Zanara's gone, they'll walk this one forward, and it looks like they'll find themselves up 3-1. And that's Carnage game looking to move themselves on the set point.
It was a great call by Carnage, I think, to use the buck wild when they did, right in the middle of them. The Dread Serpent, maybe not needed, but they do still have the Immortal to work with. Just unfortunate that that Illusory Rift didn't end up working for them. The keeping the team up from Ignite was great. Penning lived so long, but Carnage said, all right, well, we're never, ever, ever going to kill an Inara that's being pocketed by a Ying. Let's just kill everything else while you're focusing on her. Just let our main tank trade that damage, and then have Rashao's burst be the difference maker on the other side of the map. Cool now kind of woke up from, I think he must have heard you, Gore, from what you were saying before, because he's positive now from that earlier slash line. I think having a, 8-4 round from then on, and still topping the damage charts. Strix is so impactful, and he can get so aggressive. People don't really do it as much in some other regions, but Cool's really pushing this character to the limits.
Well, now we're going to have to see whether or not they can figure this one out, or finish this one out, I should say, for Carnage Gaming. And Cool can really keep the pressure going. Like you said, hey, you get to see Strix get aggressive sometimes. This is another one of those times. He's playing down in bleachers like it's nothing. There's an Immortal once again, keeping everyone topped off and safe. They get aggressive. It's 2 clean kills picked up for Carnage. Nothing dropped on the other side, save for that ult. That's going to keep them, well, on top of this objective, 30%, matching what Ignite Gaming have picked up.
And they have to. Carnage will back off, but they have, I think, solid control of the map as long as they get their flankers back over here. But they have to be careful. I was about to say, he's got to be careful not to get pulled, but Rashao doesn't break line of sight in time. He will go down. That overpower will find its first bit of value here. And this early cap time, they might be able to swing it in their favor.
78% they have to catch up to. Even if Carnage go down, theoretically, they might have the opportunity to come back in and steal it. But with that comeback mechanic, specifically double comeback, as you like to call it, it's going to be very difficult. You don't have a lot of time to mess around with here if you're Carnage Gaming. In fact, it already looks like it might be Ignite being able to capture this one, 97. And they do get the touch thanks to the Maeve. One of the greats that she can bring is that ability to prolong the game over time. Going to slowly tick down. Rachao loses his life at the very beginning of it, which is going to cause some trouble already for Carnage Gaming. Whether or not they can get the pressure back is up to Scooter. Unfortunately, he's gone as well. No Ares, and that should be all she wrote. Maybe buying some overtime, but it looks like Ignite stay alive in this one.
The pocket potential from the Ying was insane on to Deja Vu. I mean, he put up the reversal, went from low to full almost immediately, paired with both of that together. And Rashao, no amount of buck sustain will make that work, but trying to get a little bit more, actually get some kills. Gets the Cool with the accursed arm, but trades his life for it, and that's going to make this offense just a little bit tougher.
Getting aggressive, and they're doing so, like you said, pretty well, although thought the Andro immediately available to them. That's going to cause some trouble. And surprisingly, I think in my eyes, I was waiting for the moment to drop where Ignite just kind of maybe picked up everything and slammed through this next corner. But it looks like that's going to be a complete pause. In fact, Deja Vu, what should have been and will be Zeeds, maybe it takes a little longer than, at least I think it should have, to be able to kill off the Ying. They're going to be able to find those kills, stagger out the Victor as well, and this feels like another pause. They've already burned down a minute, Kresnik. It looks like they've got a minute and a half to go, but they're going to find plenty of time in this.
As I keep this pressure forward from Carnage, this is a great aggressive defense, I think, here with the way that they're holding it. But look at this with Carnage up top, with every angle covered. They want to take that high ground. A little bit of pressure, and the Illusory Rift not even enough to maybe keep him up, but will be enough to swing a couple kills in their favor.
It's going to be able to, like you said, swing it not only in their favor, but I mean heavily. You lose QBs, which is maybe a little bit of some of the return, I should say, but I mean Deja Vu seems to be just fine being able to pick it up, at least get them back to the payload, Kresnik. But there's a whole different story awaiting them the next 50 seconds trying to get this one converted. Still, it's worth noting, Carnage Gaming can't win off of a defense here. They will have to capture a mid at this point if they want to be able to finalize themselves a Splitstone Quarry map win. This is not the way to start it off. QBs finds Rachao, finds Ares. 30 seconds left. They're still kind of stalled at the 60% portion. They're still moving forward ever so slowly, but making the ground up. Deja Vu, QBs each going to be able to find some kills. They're looking to burn through Scooter one more time. They're looking to go around this last corner.
Really, really rough, I think, use of the Immortal there. They needed this to be a brawly fight so they could actually charge it back up, but just not happening so far. Now, if it's going to be all on how long this Nando shield lasts on the respawn to keep him in the fight. But look at this dive early. Con and Andrew right onto Buck. He can't live through this, and he's going to be the first pick.
Poor Rachao. Luckily, though, they trade out QB's forward. Ares gets into the background. Might go too deep into the background. Stays alive just barely there. Going to get a little bit more damage off before Deja Vu finally takes his life. Now keeps it moving, but this is the defender's advantage. Rachao respawns. Going to be back in the fight in any moment. Ornn trying to get the lockdown, but Buck into the back line looking to try and change something up. And he's going to be able to help get one. Unfortunately, still ends up trading his life out for that one. Both tanks still staying aggressive. Ornn finally taken down. Scooter doing everyone's work by staying alive on this one. Great job from Crimson as well to make sure everyone stays topped off, and that's all you need for a good defense. Make sure that tank stays alive. You can keep yourself going. Still set point for Carnage Gaming here if they can capture this mid, but with 2 on the board, Ignite are in a position to be able to scoop up themselves a map win if they can capture and convert.
And that fight was actually long enough for them to get that Immortal back. So the biggest misplay, I think, of that round kind of made up for by them having that long hold there in this. Damage chart still in favor of Cool on the Strix, I think to the surprise of no one. But I want to see those healing charts again because that was a ridiculous number that I just saw coming out of Zeeds. 275,000 healing in a 3-2 game so far. Just a unreal healing from him, the spamming of the illusory rifts, all the pocket potential there. It is an insane amount. I get that he's paired with an Inara. I get that an Inara has Rejuvenate, but that regardless, that is still a crazy impressive number for Zeeds to be putting in.
I distinctly remember last year making a big deal when someone got close to 300,000. This seems like something we might get to see out of Zeeds this time around. He's pretty close to the mark, already used Illusory Rift this time around, so we'll have to look at those and keep our eyes open for the post-game stats. But right now, all that matters is this fight right here. Overpower off the mark, every ult from Ignite used, some hit, some miss, and it doesn't seem to pay off any more than what they needed. Ornn, Deja Vu, Penny, all taken down, 2 of them there by Rachao. A good pop-off round for the Buck, who has not been showing up for the rest of the game. Finally gets his mark on this one, and it's going to get Carnage right up to that 50% mark, tying Ignite. They're so close to being able to cinch this one.
But I used every single ultimate. I mean, they literally have nothing left. Neither do Carnage, but Carnage is the one who have the point, so they're not as unhappy about it. But look at this. Penny actually makes it by on the mount, will get the overtime, and they're already getting pushed out of the side, so map control is going back in favor of Ignite, but the flankers are in position to get on their backline.
Going to be Ares once again that I have to keep looking at. He's going to dance around in the heal field, going to be able to stay alive, and this one QB's traded out for a Chow, but they lose Penny as well on the side of Ignite Gaming. That's such a big loss when you're trying to hold on to this. 99% for Carnage Gaming. Doesn't look like Deja Vu is going to live much longer now. It's all up to this con. There's only so much you can do. One lonely Ying Zeeds just trying to stay alive at that point. Not able to find any overtime, not able to prolong this one. Carnage Gaming take the set after they take that map. Very well played. I mean, a very long contested map number 1 and what felt like a pretty quick map 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit closer than map 2 for sure, but I think Carnage still kind of had the answer. Surprising to see the Buck come alive more at the end of the game. I mean, he went 9 and 16 in the final stat line, but I felt like he was a lot harder to kill when we got further in. KD's, though, pretty solid on the side of Ignite Gaming, honestly. I think all the defenses they did probably helped quite a bit with that, but Carnage, they just, I think, played the objective a little bit better. Scooter, it was so hard for them to dislodge him off the point.
We'll have to watch. Zeeds may not have won. I just want to know his healing numbers more than that. 1 and 7 for Crimson, 17 and 11 there for Ares. You can see, I think specifically, Cool, 1 and 4 at the beginning of the game. Ends up multiplying that, I think, by 3, at least for the deaths, but going up to 19 is what I think I saw there. 293,000.
So close.
Almost, but not quite close enough to be able to at least bump over that 300,000 mark. Really needed that last mid fight. If they had won that, lost the push, and then had another point fight, longest steps in Paladins you can take to get to that 3-3 point, he would have been well and above 300,000. Unfortunately, Carnage Gaming had different plans for them. I think a lot of it started with Cool. I mean, right here, this was one of the biggest pivot moments. After a not-so-great round 1, that was really the start of Cool's progressive change into a positive KDA.
Yeah, agreed. And I think Cool waking up helped them significantly. I mean, having a Strix that's popping off is one of the biggest boons to your team you can possibly have. And once they didn't really need to protect him anymore, once they were able to slow them down from getting on him, it was definitely just looking better for them. I also think for Shao, no matter what his KD was by the end, I think was a big part of it, because anytime they started pressuring Cool, he would just say, all right, well, I'll just throw myself into the middle of their team. Why not? I'll absorb all that damage for him so that my Strix, who can, do 1,800 to their team across the map, can do whatever he wants. What'll I do? 150? Yeah, I think I'll die so my Strix can do whatever he wants.
Absolutely. You make that trade 10 times out of 10, I don't think there's any moment where you really kind of switch that up. Either way, Carnage Gaming are happy with this one. Once again, kind of helping solidify themselves a little bit more here in second. You'll have to keep your eyes on In Control. They're right there behind it, but look at the map difference. I mean, 13-4, definitely in favor of Carnage Gaming here, but still everyone trying to catch up to Parallax Gaming 9-0. Speaking of teams that people are trying to catch up to, Sanguine right now on a little bit of a hot streak. Flashpoint maybe trying to play catch-up, considering the first, at this point, I guess 60% of this phase has not really been going their way, Kresnik. So we'll have to see if they're able to keep up with it. Flashpoint are really the ones to maybe look at here, because they're the ones that are trying to play upset to what has been this new Sanguine.
Yeah, Sanguine Flashpoint 4 months ago. I'm super, super excited, but now it's second team versus last place team. Flashpoint, though, they have the talent to maybe make something happen. Sanguine, I think, hoping to recover from their loss against Pickled Pepper last week as well. That was a set that did not even honestly look close. But between them, Pickled Pepper really just felt kind of in command of that. So Sanguine saying, all right, well, now let's at the very least remind everybody that we are the second team in North America to be feared.
Well, it's definitely something to keep your eyes open for, and that means you have to stay tuned for it when North America comes up. They're going to be coming on right after this quick break.